Hello, everyone, and welcome to Paradox Untold Stories from Athletic Directors. I am Dr. Danielle Lapointe, and my co host is Dr. Dustin Smith. And we are here today with Todd Gulluscio. How are you this morning, Todd?
I'm doing great. Happy to be here.
Thank you for being here. We're very excited to feature you this week. In addition to that, we'd like to say thank you to Ticket Spigot, who is the NI AAA official ticketing partner and also our sponsor, making all of these episodes possible. So, hey, Dustin, how are you doing this morning?
And I'm living the dream. It's a great day to be a Bulldog, as I always tell our coaches, no matter what day it is. But I'm really excited to be here today, and I'm excited to have Todd on. The Godfather. Maybe that's what we should just label this episode because Todd is known as the Godfather in our NI AAA youth cohort. He's a fellow mentor of mine, and we've had a few episodes with some people that have been I don't know if you want to call them suspects or projects, whatever you want to call them, for people who have been in this uh, NIAAAU cohort. But Todd is one of those. Todd has joined us. Maybe I've joined Todd as mentors this year, and we get to impart our wisdom. I know that's a surprise to you, Danielle, but maybe not Todd's wisdom, but my wisdom into a group of people that have signed up for that. They've agreed to that, but Todd is one of my fellow mentors, and I'm excited just because each month I get to listen to the wisdom that comes from Todd, and I'm intrigued because he's from New York, and this gives you a different accent, a different. We had Gary Stevens on, and when I presented with him at one point, he used to say that there was one of the two of us you could understand, no matter where you were. You could hear our accent, be able to understand it, whether it's more of the country bumpkin in me or the New Yorker in Todd. But I'm excited, Todd, to have you on. Excited to learn. And we're going to dive into why they call you the Godfather. But what I want to ask you first is tell us a little bit about what the resume is not going to tell us who Todd Gulluscio is. As we talk about your involvement in the IAAA, we can talk about your involvement in your state association, but what makes Todd outside of being an athletic administrator?
Oh gosh. Well, I think first and foremost, thank you for having me on. Certainly a pleasure to be here with both of you this morning. Uh, but what makes Todd Todd? You know, I think I just care. I care a lot about what I'm doing, who I'm doing it for, and it's really about everyone else. It's not so much about me. I'm just trying to provide the best I can for everybody. So that's really what drives me. What drives me is to make everything better for everybody else, so that they enjoy their experience with me, no matter what it is, whether it's athletics, whether it's home having a meal. I want everyone to have the best experience possible.
So I need to set the record straight. Are you a Yankees or a Mets fan?
I am a Met season ticket holder.
Oh,
I am a Mets fan.
Podcast is over.
I think
Podcast is over.
Danielle,
Episode's done.
Danielle just hit the off button. I think. That's okay. Listen. Listen. I understand the Yankees were popular for a very, very long time with all the winning and whatnot, but I stick with what I root for. So we're excited for this year. We've taken our lumps in the past, but I am hoping for a successful 2022 season for my Mets.
You like me are loyal, if nothing else. I'm a huge Chicago Cubs fan, and we had 108 years of futility and being terrible, and finally won it. And I don't think we'll win it again for another 108 years. But you're being loyal to the Mets. I appreciate that. I respect that. I knew that was your loyalty, but I just want to get that out there so Danielle could have her moment of getting a little shot. But
Thanks for that.
let's talk about what I always like to ask is paint on a map where you're at. For those of our listeners who are geographically challenged, can you paint exactly where you're at in New York?
Okay, so I will tell you that everyone, when I went to college in Florida, thought that I lived in Manhattan because everyone from New York lives in Manhattan. I am about 2.5, 3 hours from Manhattan, on the east end of Long Island, out by the Hamptons, but not in the Hamptons. There are two forks on the end of Long Island, on the east end, and I am on a little island in between those forks, accessible by ferry boat and small plane if you have a small plane, but most people come here by ferry boat.
So I'm guessing in the Hamptons they have small planes.
Oh, sure. Yeah, they have an airport out there. And then we have we have an airstrip. We don't have an airport, an airstrip here for recreational flying. But most people do not come in that way. They come in through the ferry boats, either from the South Fork or from the North Fork.
You made the statement of not from the Hamptons. Close, but not from the Hamptons. It's
Yeah.
like Steve Throne's episode when he said he was close to first class. He could see
Yeah.
inside there, but he couldn't be in there. So that may be exactly kind of painted up for you, is kind of just sitting and can see the Hamptons, but not really in the Hamptons.
Yeah, no, we're not there. We're not there. But we're here, and we're our own special place. So
Right.
that's okay.
And you're you. I mean, that's the reason
Yeah.
why we have you on here. We get to talk to you and kind of talk about the stories that you may have as an athletic administrator, and those times that may have just been that stuff really just happened, and those moments of wow. So let me ask you this: how long have you been an athletic administrator?
Gosh, I think I'm going into year 13.
Okay.
I think I'm going into year 13. It's been a fun ride. I'm in my third district actually. I was teaching in Greenport High School, and which is just on the other side of the ferry boat from here on the north side. And I was lucky enough to teach there. And then when our athletic director retired, I became the athletic director there.
So
Uh,
I have some ferry boat questions though.
oh
We
yeah,
gotta
go.
we
What
gotta
do you
stop and back up here for a minute
Yeah.
here.
Sure.
So are you the only like high school on this island? Are
We're
there
the only
multiple?
school on this island. So let me go
Okay.
into the school. All right, we'll
Okay.
go here first.
Okay.
So our school is pre-K through 12, one building, and about 200 students.
Okay.
We are tiny, and we are the only school on this island.
So this leads to the next ferry boat question.
Go.
So when you have home games then,
hmm
and schools have to get on a ferry boat
Yep.
to come to you,
hmm
and that's normal. It's okay.
That's a normal way of life out here. They know if they're coming to Shelter Island or through Shelter Island. Sometimes you'll have some of the North Fork schools travel through Shelter Island on both ferry boats to go play a game on the South Fork.
So you have like we can say, oh, we have transportation issues, but like you have like a whole nother level of transportation issues that we have not yet tapped. And
Sure.
I can't fathom like, hey, we have to
Yeah.
get all like what if somebody left something like on the other their cleats on the other side of the boat or the ferry, and I'm just there's so many things. I mean, weather, ferries
Yeah.
running late, like do you have to have tickets in advance? I have
Yeah.
so many ferry boat questions.
Okay, that's fine. We're going to go right into it. So on the deal is here, we don't have our own buses. So I contract that with a company, which actually is in Greenport, just on the north side of the ferry. On the other side of the ferry, go down one street, and there's our bus company. So I pay for that bus to come across the ferry empty to come here to pick up our kids. Then I pay for it to go back on the other side to wherever we're going. Then I pay for it to come back to drop our kids off. Then I pay for it to go back empty again.
This isn't like a ferry that like just goes. You have to like actually charter a ferry boat.
Oh, no. It goes. It runs.
It does.
Better
Okay.
than 15 minutes. It does shut down. It shuts down at midnight. That's it. Gates closed.
So like a lightning delay for you on an away game has like a whole nother meaning.
Yeah. There's a whole nother level depending on where you are, how far you had to travel. We have some games that are about an hour and a half, 2 hours away from here. When you're taking it with the bus with the kids, we have most of our games are much closer, but we do have some opponents, some small schools in our western, part of our county that they would have no one else to play if they didn't play small schools like us. So we travel out to them.
Have
It's
you
a
ever?
normal occurrence. Kids
Have
leave
you ever?
school early, and they get on the bus, and then they go on the boat. They travel for a couple hours. They play their game, and they travel back. And they usually stop for some food on the way home. Just because I don't like taking them out of the dinner hour out of the house without being able to stop. So our coaches are good about stopping with the kids.
I have like so many worst case scenarios flooding my brain right now as an AD. Like I have to have so many plans, right? Like have you ever had a team get stuck on the island? Have you ever had a team that couldn't
No.
get back to your island? Like do you have
No.
backup plans in case this happens? Like weather just goes south, ferry shut down, your kids are on the other side.
The ferries are very good. If we called them and said, "Listen, our team is stuck behind. Could you go get them?"
Okay.
They would do it. So they've done that like on class trips. We have eighth grade class trip that my wife runs. She's a teacher here in the building that goes to Florida. They go to Disney World the eighth grade, and so if they needed an early boat, a late boat, or something, they tend to work with us with those
So
scenarios.
your ferry boat drivers are comparable to like your custodians. They're on the same level. Like you take care of them. You're thankful for them. Like
Oh, we're
they
thankful
are.
for them. The ferry company takes care of them. But you know, you know, we're thankful for everyone here in our community. It takes all of us to really make this thing work, and we're happy it does. It's. I grew up here, so to me, the ferry boat is normal.
It's not.
My wife, who's not from here, when we first started dating, senior year of high school, she said, "Well, I will never live there because of the boat. I will never work there. I will never have my kids go to school there." And she does all three very happily and would never change it. And she tells that story all the time. But I mean, we love it here. This is home. I mean, literally have a house across the street from where I grew up. This is home.
Well, my question is simply this: is the ferry yellow?
No.
Ah, see, we got yellow dogs, is what we call them. Of course, your bus gets on there, but
Yeah.
you know, I would think that. I mean, I'd want to just paint it yellow if it was me, because you're taxiing people back and forth, and yeah, I'm just trying to be a visiting AD, thinking about that process and making sure your team and how you coach your coaches to make sure, hey, you've got a lot for the ferry because you're taking that ferry, and I'm sure that there may be some seasoned ADs that have done this with regularity, but I can imagine being a coach for the first time coming to the island and having to ride the ferry to get there and trying to accommodate arrival time and departure time, all that stuff to make sure you do it correctly.
Oh yeah. I mean, well, navigating the traffic to get out here, because it's not like we're off a major highway here to get to this place. So navigating the traffic, navigating the boat, people tend to give themselves extra time. It's like we're some mystical faraway place. So they tend to get here. Most schools get here early. I do have a couple schools that are regularly here late, which I don't enjoy, but most schools make the plans, make the time to make sure. And some call, like if we play a school from up west that we never played before. There was one year where our softball league, they changed the way the league was structured, and we played some schools that we had never played before, and they had to travel out here from western Suffolk County, and they're like, how do we get on the boat? How do we pay the boat? How does that all work? So that they got it all squared away, but you do have to think about it.
Can you imagine like the letter, Dustin, that Todd says, his welcome letter that he sends out when he plays school? Welcome to my island.
Yeah.
My island.
No, not my island. No.
Now, here's my question. I'm assuming that you don't have just a ton of officials right there on the island, so officials will have to make that journey as well.
Yeah, our officials all make that journey. In our county, you can't officiate a game in your home district. You have to go, outside of there just for equity purposes and everything else. So all of our officials come from somewhere else. But I think they enjoy the trip. Really, we've been kind of honored for our sportsmanship out here. In fact, we're winning a big award from the state here coming up this fall, which we've never gotten. But we've had 8 years in a row without a disqualification from a coach or a player, which is pretty impressive. But the officials seem to enjoy coming here.
So like in Florida, we pay mileage for officials. Do you pay mileage for officials as well? Is it nautical miles? Is it regular?
It's a good question. And I really, because of the way we're structured out here, I don't have the answer for that. Our county schedules all the officials. I don't have to schedule an official for anything. They'll call, hey, just to make sure the game's still on if there's weather or whatnot. But our county handles all scheduling of officials. I have to handle it if we don't have an official. We'll do an in-house official if we have to for a junior high or a JV game, if needed. But no, my county handles all that. Thankfully, very thankful to the folks at Section 11 and the directors there who handle all of that.
So, with 200 kids, how many JV games or how many JV teams do you have?
We have a few because we'll fluctuate back and forth depending on what skill level our kids are at. So we'll have baseball, softball, basketball, and then volleyball. And then we have varsity sports, cross country, track, golf, volleyball, basketball, winter track, spring track. I
Well, and
think that's
correct
really
me if I'm wrong, Todd, but like, so I'm originally from New York. I went to high school in New York, and when I moved to Florida, there was a lot of differences, and one of them is kind of maybe I think what Dustin maybe be talking about is that in public high schools in Florida, only kids can be on your team 9 through 12, but in New York, you can tap down into your seventh and eighth graders.
hmm
You can go down into your middle schools, junior highs, what it was when I was there.
Yep.
And those kids can actually play on freshman JV and varsity level sports, which is something that cannot happen here in Florida.
Yeah, sure. So they could take the athletic placement process. It's called here in New York. It used to be called something different, but now it's the athletic placement process. And if a kid passes the test and is cleared by the doctor, they're entitled to a tryout with the high school team. That's been pretty successful here for the kids who really push themselves to want to do it. We've had great success with that in cross country and track, and a couple other sports. If we have a junior high level, we tend not to do that. So we have junior highs in a few sports. But we have baseball, softball. We've had pretty good success with that here. So, having the small school, we're able to tap in that a little more. And the other thing that really helped us is something I fought for a few years ago was dual participation, where a kid could play more than one. Back in, it was allowed in the state, but in our county, it was not permitted 3 or 4 years ago. When I started to see, looking at our enrollment numbers and looking at the how many boys or girls were in a given class, we'll have disparity. My daughter's class for the longest time only had 2 girls in it, and they were coming up to the high school and I go, what am I going to do with this? There's only 2 of them. We were able to get dual participation. So if a kid wants to play softball and run track, they can do that. They've got to work out the schedule and take care of all those different things. But that's been a great help to our program, having the kids be allowed to do 2 things.
What is the rule in Arkansas, Dustin?
Can we play? I mean,
can seventh and eighth graders have to play? Can they play up on varsity or no? Not in Arkansas.
7th and 8th grade cannot. 9th grade can, but once they play up, they cannot play back down. So if they play varsity, they can't play 9th grade for the rest of the year.
For the rest of the year, but the next year they could.
Yeah. So once you play one varsity minute, you're done with as a 9th grader. You can't play back with the 9th grade.
Wow. Okay.
But you can play football varsity and still play 9th grade basketball. It's just for the sport.
Oh, okay.
Not for the year. It's just the sport that you're involved in.
Interesting. It's all very different setups, but that type of setup, allowing those younger kids to participate at the high school level, probably really helps your numbers and allows your programs to be a little bit more successful with a 200 student school.
Yeah, no, it does, and it's a learning experience for the kids, and the kids have to be mature enough to handle it. Because I meet with the parents when they go through this process, just to kind of, give them everything. You got to give them the whole picture. Your kid's going to be, your 13-year-old kid's going to be riding on a bus with 18-year-olds. You have to kind of have that in your mind, and our kids have been really great here about being good to those younger kids, making sure they're taken care of, because for some of them, they were in that same boat when they were. Yeah, literally in the same, and the bus when they were coming up. So they're very, very good about nurturing, and our coaches are very good about nurturing those younger kids and really building them up to get them ready for a successful athletic career.
And I think about one of our legal duties is obviously to properly pair athletes, to make sure that you're not putting a 13-year-old that's, and football may not be an option there, but you start thinking about some of those, putting those kids up against 18-year-old grown men, which may not be the most advantageous, but I don't think you have football to worry about. At least you didn't mention that.
No football here.
I mean, some of that, even in the state of New York, if they could do that with 8th graders playing up in the varsity level, is that possible?
Yeah, it's possible. For football or something where there's heavy contact, I mean, that child would have to be of a good size, I would think, for for me to feel comfortable in doing something like that for sure. Here it's more of the lesser or no contact where it takes place: cross country, track, baseball, softball. Um,
It has like its random like I'd say benefits as well. I had one of my classmates, his name was Craig Forth. He played for Syracuse, but he was extremely tall. Like I think he was 7'2" or something. So he started playing varsity in seventh grade.
right.
I remember that. So for somebody with his unique ability and height, that was very useful to him to start training at a higher level younger. So that was that I remember that happening, which is cool. It worked for him and got a scholarship for Syracuse.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and that's what it's really about. It's supposed to be about the individual kid, not necessarily I'm
Mhm.
trying to fill a roster spot or
Yep.
I need an extra body. It's about the development of that particular child.
Yes.
If you do it the right way and with fidelity, then it works out.
Hmm.
Uh, and that we've been able to do that here pretty successfully.
Now, do any of your stories that you have for us involve a ferry boat?
No, because I've always
Aw.
well, I mean, personally, there's been times where I missed the ferry boat, but
I
the
guess that's probably a
2016
good
World
thing.
Series, the one
I
the
was
Mets were in,
Yeah.
they lost it, but they were in it. Yeah, I slept in the car a couple times on a couple of those games coming back, but no, they don't involve the ferry boat. In fact, it wasn't even at this school. The one that always sticks out in my mind, and it has me paranoid, probably for the rest of my career. So I often will do the starting lineups for basketball per se. So this is, probably in the beginning of my time. I'm getting ready at this other school, and I'm, got the microphone, and I'm going through the starting lineups, this, that, and the other. And I turn to hand it over to the young lady singing the national anthem, and I turn around and she's gone, missing. Where'd she go? And we've done everything. There's nothing
So
else
you
to do.
announced it. It's ready to go.
Oh yeah, yeah. And now singing the national anthem is gone, not there. Okay, well we've done all the lineups. There's no other stalling when it comes to this. What am I going to do? So I start singing it. So she comes back in. So I'm in the middle of singing this thing, and it's her time in the sun. She wants the microphone, so I gave it back to her. But yeah, I mean, yeah. That so I am very paranoid now because I still do the starting lineup for basketball. I have to see that person and have them in my sight
You're
the entire
holding their
time.
hand as you're
Yeah,
announcing.
just about, just about. They have to be in my sight while I'm doing those lineups and in a place where they can't escape. So, so I make sure that they're there to do the anthem.
Did she just get stage fright and like run away?
No, I don't know where. You know what? To be honest with you, I don't know where she went or what. She went out to the hallway to do something. I have no idea. Say hello to somebody. I have no clue. But before I started, okay, she's right here. No problem. You're all set. Yep. And then boom, I start the line, and then I turn around. She's gone.
But I got a question for you. You just break out in song.
Yeah.
I have to think about maybe something that's famous in that area, The Sopranos. Were you a soprano while you were singing? Were you a baritone? I mean, did we have to rename the group?
No. Listen, I'm a baritone bass, and thank goodness I sang in high school. So I got a little bit of something going.
I was gonna say, can you sing? Was my next question.
I could do a little bit. But that was when I was younger.
Because if that was me and I had to do that, everyone would be like, stop, or they'd leave. Like I
Yeah.
cannot sing at all. Oh man, that is a nightmare. Like for an AD, like a nightmare
Oh,
situation.
so now I'm paranoid. Every time I do it, I am paranoid where that person. I'm more concerned with that than the pronunciation of names or anything else. Although I'm very paranoid about that too. I am always on who's singing and where are they.
You know, you think about, I mean, we talk about takeaways all the time from these stories, and you think about just being in that situation, whether you have an anthem on standby in case you got to play the anthem if a situation like this happens. What if the power goes out? What if the mic doesn't work? I mean, how do you do this? What's your thought process? I would have never thought that at one point she was there, and then the next point when you actually get ready to hand the microphone to her, she's not. So you introduced it, and you said it was a young lady. So
It was stupid.
you don't meet that requirement as a young lady. So did you just say, "Well, I
Mm,
guess I'm singing," or did
Yeah,
you
we're
go
we're
straight
going.
into it?
We're going. The game's got a tip. The teams are ready, and it's the national anthem. We're not just skipping it. So we're going.
you have that microphone in front of everyone and something doesn't go right, it's not it's not a good feeling.
Yeah. No, no, definitely not a good feeling. And thank goodness it was before the days of streaming. I don't think anyone was quick enough. It was actually before the days of being able to just play it on my phone. That we were using CDs back then. So thankfully, I don't think anyone ever got it recorded. It's
I
lost
I
in
had
everyone's memory except for mine because I will never forget it.
I had a similar situation happen on a microphone, if you don't mind if I tell it
Yeah,
to you very
please.
quickly. I don't even know if you know this, Dustin, but I don't even know if I want you to know this. So I was new. I was only at the school for like a month, and the um, cheerleading team won the state championship the year prior. So they wanted to do a ring presentation at halftime. So like I said, I'm new. I don't really know the kids that well yet. So it's halftime. They have the microphone down on the field, and they want to introduce all of the cheerleaders and say all their names. And something happened. I wasn't supposed to do it, but I ended up having to do it. So there's a stadium packed full of people. It's a football game. And when I'm doing it, everything's going okay. It's difficult enough, right? Because you hear that echo and the feedback. Well, I get to this poor girl who I will forever be apologetic to. And this is how you spell her last name: Pussey. I didn't handle it well. I didn't handle it well. I I was like a stadium full of people, and I just went silent because I don't pronounce names very well. As that, I make sure I try to pronounce all of my guest names correctly, and I don't even do it well then. So yeah, I kind of froze, and I don't think I said it correctly. Let's just leave it at that. And, and I felt so bad, but it was the same type of, you made me. I felt how you felt in that situation because you have the mic. There's nothing you can do, and you just have to like figure it out really quick.
Hmm.
And I think it would have been better if I sang, to be honest.
The best part is you do the lead up. Obviously, hey, this is our national anthem being sung today
Mhm.
by whoever, and you turn and she's not there, and you got to think, oh boy. Uh, I mean, the fact that you just went straight into it and just said, okay, we're doing it, and like you said, it's national anthem. It's not something you just glaze over and say, oh, we're not going to do that. We're going to
Mhm.
veto that. You know, there's some patriotic people that really expect for the national anthem to be. And I always tell our kids that sing, hey, this isn't about the singer. This is about the song.
Yep.
So we do tribute to the song, not so much the singer. And I understand you're going to make it your own, however you want to, but I don't want the anthem to be more about the singer than the song, because I think it's important that we do the right thing. So I have that fear that if somebody's going to come out, I have the fear that they're just going to be terrible. And somebody come to me, hey, I'm singing this pageant and I've done this, and they just get out there and they butcher the song, and and I'm trying to figure out how in the world I process that. What do I do? Because you're not setting a kid up for success if they actually get out there, and because there's nowhere to hide. You can't hide behind that microphone. So just thinking through that process of saying, oh man, not only is she not here, but now I've got to do this. Before we had you can play it on your phone, like you mentioned, just those moments of, holy smokes, what am I going to do right now? And some people don't understand our jobs are just to make things happen. And you just rolled into it just like it was staged or supposed to be that way. And then the best part is she comes and what's her moment in the spotlight. So you just mid song hand it off.
You could have done a duet. Could have
Yeah,
just.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, you know what? And part of our job, and I think, and listen, any administrative job, but ours seems to happen more frequently than not. You gotta roll with it, and you gotta go. We can't get stuck in the mud. People are dependent upon us to make sure that experience for those kids is top notch. So, uh, we roll with it no matter what it is. And that's if you have that mindset. And thankfully, I was young enough to just not think about it all that much and just go.
My
Just
question
go.
is, how much of the song did you get out before you handed the baton off in the relay to
Oh
her?
gosh, I was at least a quarter to half in.
And she didn't let you finish. She just said, "Here, give me
I know.
one."
Hey, listen, and I was happy. Happy, please, please take this before I get to some high note or something.
I'm just so impressed that you even did that. I'm not like just the fact that you even started it and did it. That's impressive.
Well, thank you. Don't be afraid. That's kind of the thing. You can't be
I think I
afraid.
would have pushed it off to my coach. Here you
Yep.
go. Your game.
Now this isn't at the current school you're at. This was at another
No,
school, right?
this was at a different school. Yeah.
Was
So
the attendance large? Was there a big crowd there, or was it just
it
scattering?
seemed like everyone in the world was there to me. But no, we were drawing pretty good back then. It was a home basketball game, and we were drawing pretty good.
So they can see you in a gym.
Oh
It's a
yeah,
little
yeah,
bit
they're
worse
staring
than a
right at me.
stadium
They're
because they can
staring right
see
at
you.
me. Yeah, they're staring right at me, and so I didn't take it too much of a ribbing for that. So it was pretty good. It was pretty good. You just on the feet, you got to go. Um, so you move with it. That's
See,
all.
we do our anthem before we do our starting lineups.
Not a bad move.
So that gives me a buffer if I have to change something. I can change it if I have to, obviously. But you said you had no filler. You'd already done the starting lineups. They're
Oh
ready.
yeah, no, this is it. This is it. After this, we're tipping. So this is it.
I mean, I have girls basketball players that anytime I leave the microphone plugged in, they try to sing the anthem just before practice or if it's a shoot around, and they're like, "Hey, Dustin, let me sing this. Let me sing tonight." And there is not a chance in the world I'd let them sing. But there was a situation we were at. We were a visiting team at a game this year, and the CD player wasn't working or the phone wasn't working or something, and so our girls just started singing.
Yep.
As a team, they sang the anthem, and they got their moment in the spotlight. They weren't on the microphone, but they started it just to make sure that the anthem was done, and they did that just on a whim. It wasn't something that was rehearsed or planned. They just started singing, and the whole crowd started singing. So everybody sang the anthem instead of playing it. So there are those situations when it arises, but I have a strict policy that those girls can't sing with a microphone. They can sing as a group, but they're not singing solo on a mic.
Well, you know what? That's what's so great about kids. That they're just going to roll with it. They're more flexible minded than we are for sure. So good for them. We've been in a couple of those situations where our kids were visiting somewhere, and my group of kids that sing now they're all on the volleyball team. They're all cheerleaders. They're all so they're the ones that do it. But they'll go if someone needs it. They'll just go ahead and do it. That's kind of how they roll. But no, it's good. It's good.
I've got a fear that they're going to forget the words halfway through. And I don't know if you saw the Maurice Cheeks a few years ago when he helped the young lady in Portland sing. He just walked up to her and helped her get through that. So that's a fear I have. That's a legit fear I have that somebody's going to start singing and either butcher the song, because I think the song is so important.
Yep.
That I want to make sure that we do the right justice for the song. But I'm afraid that somebody's going to lock up because they're kids sometimes. They're adults even that are going to lock up. And what do you do once they do that is the big question.
Help them out. Do the Maurice Cheeks. Help them out.
Yeah.
Because it could happen to anybody. It could happen to you, me, a kid. It could happen to an adult we bring in to sing. That could happen to anybody.
I have I always like to your fear right there, Dustin. I always had like it on my phone. I have it on the iPad if they were playing music from the iPad. Like I had the national anthem on all of these different devices. So if something like that happened, we could play it very quickly. Have it back up, ready to go, and all devices needed.
Right. Well, I'll tell you, talking about the phone, I'll give you one other story. This is from a current school. This is a good one too. So we're talking about audio visual and stuff. So, we have our sound system set up, and the kids are, I let the kids pick the music for the warm up, but the coaches, got a screen. Well, they were using a streaming service one day. So we're getting here right before a volleyball game. And I'm walking through the gym. And all of a sudden I hear, and now brought to you by Coors Light. It was like a beer commercial started coming on. I lost my mind. Sprinted over to that AV system, unplugged the phone. You guys are killing me. You're killing me. Yeah. We only had a few parents in the building at that point. It was. I said, no more of the streaming service. Either you have a playlist or you don't. But no more, no more of Spotify or whatever it was they had on that played the Coors Light commercial. I almost lost my mind.
So they just had like a free like one that they were using. So a random commercial came out. So they didn't do it on purpose. It
no, they didn't do it on purpose.
Sponsored your school.
No.
It was the fact that oh my goodness, bet you never moved quicker.
Oh man, that was dead sprint. I was almost faster than my son at that point.
Oh man, but everybody took it in stride.
Yeah. Well, they were. I think the coach was like a little embarrassed, that it happened, and the kids were like, "No, that's not." They knew like that. This is not good, and we're going to make a playlist from now on, and the playlist will be appropriate. So,
yeah. You just put like a new fear in every AD listening.
Yeah.
They have a national anthem. They're going to make sure that they have they have their national anthem singer right behind them. They're going to have a backup. They are not using a playlist. Like they're going to know the kids' names. Like there's some fears that were created by this episode.
Oh yeah, take LTC 625. It's a win. That class will square you up.
And that's why Neptune Game Time and stuff like that, those companies have a business because they want to make sure that you don't have those situations, whether it's a Coors Light advertisement or a F-bomb that's thrown into music, or because the kids want music
of course
they listen to. I mean, they want to make sure I've got, when I was at the collegiate level, I had kids always wanted to, hey Dustin, I made this playlist. Can I play this playlist as we warm up? And I let them do it one time until I heard words that shouldn't have been said. And then I thought, all right, here's the strategy now. I've got to listen to it, and a coach has got to listen to it before we play it.
Yep.
So that's my screening process now, which is crazy to me to be able to, you want to be able to trust kids and say, hey, go ahead and play whatever you want to play. But at the same time, I've been burned in that process knowing that, and now it's something I check all the time.
Yeah. Two things. I want to walk by your office desk and hear you listening to this music. I just can't fathom me listening to this music as you're just sitting there by yourself. But then the other thing is kids would come to me with playlists and say they're the clean versions. No, it's clean. It's clean. And my issue that I had with that was just because they're clean, that doesn't mean that the topics are appropriate. Guns and drugs and alcohol or sex, any of those types of things, I don't want where there's going to be little children and grandparents and everybody in the middle playing in the stadium. So yes, there might not have been the bad words, but the context was very much inappropriate for a family atmosphere. So that became my struggle. Was okay, it's the edited version, but what's it talking about?
Exactly.
And so you have to listen to the playlist, and it takes a long time. Playlists aren't short.
But they should be a lot shorter than they are, or like kids make them, because they think apparently they have 3 hours out on the court to warm up, and they don't have 3 hours, and they got 3 hours of music because they want to play all these songs that they think are most important. Back in the day, and Todd referenced this earlier, when we actually played CDs, there was a limited amount of space that they could put on there. They couldn't do the whole 3 or 4 hours worth of music. Nowadays, even with a Spotify or whatever, they'll call it the clean version or the edited version, and it ain't so clean. So, man, there's some great fears that I have as far as music, and that's why I use Neptune Game Time, because they filter all that for me. So there's no innuendos, there's no bad words, there's nothing that that I have to worry about. Now, some of the kids are like, man, why are you playing the 80s rock? And some of the 80s rock is even worse than nowadays, but, it's just some of the stuff that's filtered, but it's played just to make sure that it's clean. And that's one less headache I've got to worry about because it's already taken care of. So I think about, Todd, all you've done for me is cause what hair I have to go even more gray. Just thinking about some of these scenarios of what you've had to deal with. That the anthem is really something that worries me because there's something that that is a part of every game, and it's actually legislated now in the state of Arkansas that every extracurricular activity you've got to play the anthem. You got to have a moment of silence. You've got to say the Pledge of Allegiance. That's all part of what we do. So that's part of the package. So there's an even bigger spotlight on, not that there wasn't a big spotlight to begin with, but now it's an even bigger spotlight where you're doing it for junior high games. You're doing it for 7th grade volleyball games. Whenever there's a contest, you've got to play the anthem. And I'm fine with it, but I'm nervous as all get out if I have somebody that's going to sing that either they're going to butcher it, they're going to forget the words, or in your case, not even show up. Or show up halfway through and you got to hand the baton to them like it's a relay. You've caused a lot of consternation in my life today.
Sorry, don't mean to do that.
Oh,
but listen, I still got hair. I still got hair. So
Yeah.
if I can do it, you can do it.
Yeah.
Be positive with it. It's all going to work out.
You gotta start practicing, Dustin. Football season's coming up. You gotta be ready to sing if you need to.
I like Todd was a singer in high school and actually was a music minister at one point in my life before athletic administration. And so if I had to, probably I could do it, but I don't ever want to have to. And Todd, I'm sure didn't want to have to, but Todd had to, and Todd did it.
This is the national anthem, I think, is something. We had another episode about forgetting to put up the flag right before the national anthem was played. So this is the thing that I think is important to ADs, and also causes anxiety to ADs to make sure it's done well. So yeah, no, I definitely think, especially right before football season, you kind of heightened that for a lot of ADs.
Well, I look back and I think about those moments for Todd and things that we talk about, takeaways and things that you can take away from those stories and those situations. And obviously, you have a philosophy of just roll with it. If something happens, all we've got to do is, I tell my wife all the time, a firefighter never knows when he's going to be called out. He's just got to be ready to go. And that's pretty much our life as an AD, that you're putting out fires. And this happened to be a big fire with a microphone. And that one, and obviously the Coors Light or Bud Light or whatever the commercial was, those aren't things that you plan for, but you just got to respond to. And Daryl Nance talks about it all the time. We are very reactive, and we've got to react to whatever's happening. And Todd's put this on display in this episode of how you've got to react and respond. And sometimes you can't just crawl under the scores table, and you've got to address it and meet it head on. And Tip is waiting, and what we do is for kids. And all that was standing between the kids and playing a basketball game was the national anthem. And I don't want to say all, I don't want to try to make that smaller than it is, because that's a huge all. The national anthem is massive, and you want to make sure that that's done right for kids to give them the opportunity. And what we do oftentimes is behind the scenes. Well, Todd was thrust into the spotlight today, just out there just for everybody. And so what I want to do, Todd, is, you said you never stepped foot in Arkansas. I want to have you come sing the anthem at one of my games.
Oh, no. Todd, I didn't see that coming. I'm sorry.
I may try that. You never know.
I did not see that coming, Todd. I would have protected you. I'm sorry.
Not just that, but with a New York accent, which I think would be awesome.
No.
Got to bring something different to the table. You never know. You never know where I will be.
If I ever get in a bind, I know who I'm calling.
Oh, man.
I'll get you halfway through, but you got to do the second half. How about that?
Just
I
the
got to hit
first.
the high notes, is what you're telling me. Oh, I mean, I'm gonna take a while to process just that, and now I've got a bigger fear of the anthem, and when that comes around, to make sure that my person is there. And I may just have something that they have to hang on to. You sit right here until I hand you this mic and you get done singing, so that I make sure that you're here throughout.
Yep. Yep. No, I listen, when we do our basketball games, our cheerleaders, it's a group of them that sing it now for us. So they are within 10 feet of me. So I'm making those laps because they're forming the cheer tunnel for the players to run through. They're within 10 feet of me. There's nowhere to go. You are right there, right in front of me as I'm doing this, and then boom, here you are.
Well, and at least in the basketball gym, you kind of have you have, I guess, the ability to kind of be everywhere. At the stadium, you have to worry about, like, okay, if I announced it from the field, is the booth going to play it on time? Is it on the right track? Is everything good? Like,
Sure.
there's a whole element of coordination that occurs with the stadium games. So anytime that I have a live mic in my hand in front of us, you want it to go perfectly, right? You want it to go really well, and you want everybody to be coordinated and on the same page and having no hiccups. But the reality is that doesn't happen as often as we want it to be, because it's not, who's helping you? An assistant coach in the booth, or are they hitting the play button, or is it a student maybe? So yeah, you have to be ready. But I will never, ever be Todd's level of ready, ever.
But, and we don't know because it wasn't recorded. Todd may have hit it out of the park.
Mm-hmm.
We'll never know.
I mean, there was no record contract, I guess, given for that, was there?
No producers in the stands that day. So,
or she ran over there and she's like, "Oh, he's got to stop.
Yeah.
You can't listen to that anymore. Give me that mic."
That could be too. Beauty's in the eye of the beholder. You never know how that thing panned out, but no, you got to be ready. And it's like anything else we do. You know what? And that's probably one of the more public things of what we do. But the preparation for that is the same as the preparation for everything else that we do as athletic administrators. So, we this is part of our lives. This is how we handle things. We keep rolling.
You can't go anywhere. You weren't on an island then. I was going to say, you're stuck on an island. You can't run away, but it didn't happen at that school. So that's why you're at the island. You ran to the island.
Yeah. No. Well, you know what it was? I circled it. I was at school on the North Fork. And then I had a great offer from a school just south of us on the South Fork. And I was there for a little while, and I had the opportunity. The superintendent at the time had asked me if I wanted to come here and do what I'm doing. So I had the opportunity to come home. My 3 kids are here. Well, one's in college now, but the 3 kids are here. My wife teaches here. At the time, my mother was teaching here. So it's really a family love for this school. So this is home. This is where I'm happy to be.
That's awesome.
I usually tell guests I'm glad they came on. But today, I don't know that I'm glad you caused this level of anxiety for me moving forward.
You're going to be okay.
Yeah.
It's going to be okay. If I can do it, you can do it.
Yeah, I do. I mean this with all sincerity. I do appreciate you coming on. I do appreciate you telling us your stories about, stuff that's real life that happened to you. And that's the point of our podcast, just to be able to say this is real people doing real things that just deal with real situations. And you put that on display today, clearly. But now I've got a whole new level of respect for you, Todd. I had a level of respect going into this, but now it's up even higher just because I know that you filled the gap that you had to fill. You sang an anthem. You finished it when you needed to finish it. But I appreciate you taking a chance on 2 people like us and coming on and joining us for some laughs, some of them at your own expense.
Oh, no, hey, anytime. I'm thrilled to be here. Happy to be here with both of you to talk about these things. And hey, this is what we do. So we grasp it, we enjoy it, and we keep rolling.
And when we get to Nashville, we get to be face to face instead of via Zoom.
Yes, looking forward to it for sure. Already registered and ready to go. So
me too.
We just got to roll into December.
It'll be an exciting time. But again, I thank you for coming on, Todd. I thank you for what you do. I thank you for your commitment to our profession. But I thank you most importantly for coming on here, making us laugh, and letting us enjoy a start to a day. As you said, a Monday morning, enjoying a Monday start.
Yep. No, have a great Monday. Have a great rest of the week, and thanks for having me.
We want to thank also Danielle, obviously, for being on here with us, and we want to thank Ticket Spigot for making this episode and every episode possible here at Paradox. So stick around, listen to another episode. We'll bring you another episode next week.